Hi there, hope you're doing really, really well. If you've had the question in your mind, if you should just ignore sleep, like ignore the insomnia, if that is the way, well, then this video is for you. It is a very common question I get. I get that question a lot. Like, should I just ignore things? Is that what I should do now? We'll get to the bottom of it in this video. Before we jump into it, I just want to say to everyone who's hearing this, like, if you are finding everything you need in these videos, that's amazing. I'm so happy, happy that you're part of this community. And just a quick reminder, if you find that you need a little bit more support on your path to where you want to be, head to our website, and there are many good options if you'd like some coaching help. All right. With that said, firstly, let's review some like the basics here. I know you probably heard me say this many times. If you're new to the channel, maybe you haven't. Here we go. Sleep is a passive process. It is just something that happens all by itself when we allow it to. And so when we think about sleep in this, knowing that it is passive, we can see that if someone is kind of pondering, wandering, problem solving, experimenting, spending so much attention on sleep on a daily basis, we can see that this passive process isn't passive anymore. Like, I mean, it's always a passive process, right? But it becomes sort of like we're attempting to control it, and the passive nature of it is somehow disrupted. So we can see that attention, the more attention we give to sleep or direct towards sleep, that can easily lead to some struggle with sleep. All right. And so just from what we've seen now, we can see how this idea can easily form. We see that, aha, all this attention that I'm focusing on sleep is why I'm struggling so much. Aha, if I just ignore it, if I just ignore this, I'll sleep again. Is this true or is it not true? Well, to me, it really depends on how we define ignore in this context, in this sentence. And there are two ways that I thought of how we could define it. So let's look at them. So in the first one, we define ignore as purposely, willfully, intentionally avoiding thinking about sleep, avoiding, attention focus on sleep in order to sleep well or to sleep better. All right. In this definition, defined this way, there probably will be some struggle because A, this is doubly impossible, and B, attempting to do this, ignore sleep in this way, will lead to some struggle. So why do I say that this is doubly impossible? Well, if we go back and see how we defined this here, it was ignore defined as avoiding thinking about sleep and in order to achieve sleep. And why I say this is doubly impossible is that no human being who's ever lived or will ever live can decide what to think or not to think. We cannot willfully control our thoughts. So that is impossible. That is impossible. And B, it is also impossible to do something to achieve sleep. If I do this, then I will sleep. That type of control over sleep is counter to its passive nature. So it's doubly impossible. And that is just like that's just to me a fact, a statement. But why is it problematic? Why do I say that it leads to struggle? Well, it is because when we attempt to do something that isn't possible, then there will be struggle. And let me clarify this with two things I wanted to share. Number one is the pink elephant conundrum. Many of you are familiar with this. It's when you tell somebody, "Don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about it." What do you think about it? Well, you do think about a pink elephant. It's just kind of proof of concept that when you try not to think about something, you end up thinking about that. All right. And similarly, when we try to control sleep, we end up having a sense of no control. It becomes like kind of tricky. And so that again defined why it's doubly impossible. But why does this create struggle? Well, it is because, in my opinion, there's so much self-criticism that comes from thinking that it is possible to control your thoughts, thinking that it is possible for other people or for yourself in the past to have control over these things, and now not being able to do so. There's a lot of judgment that comes from like, why can't I control this? Why can't I manage my thoughts? Why can't everybody else do it? But it's just an illusion. It's not true at all. But this is why. So now we've seen why ignoring defined as kind of willfully trying to avoid thinking about something to achieve sleep is tricky. So that was the first definition. So how about the second definition? How else can you look at the word ignore? Well, if you think of the word ignore as defining it as allowing whatever thoughts, feelings happen without judgment or intending to control them, in this way, that leads us where we want to be. And I'll say that mostly when we use the word ignore, I think we think of it as the kind of how we define it the first way. But I think it can, to some people, it can be defined as the second one too. So that's why it can be a little confusing when you hear someone say, like, I just started to ignore the whole sleep thing, and then I started sleeping better. That person did not control their mind, but what they did was more of the second here. That person actually went to a place where if they thought a lot about sleep, that's okay. If they didn't think about sleep a lot, that's also okay. They became more unattached. And when we think of ignoring as this, like, if I think about it, if I don't think about it, both are okay. That is more helpful. And I was pondering this before I started recording, and you know, I think we often can do this. We can have some discomfort and quote unquote ignore it, in the sense that we're like, yeah, I feel anxious now, and that's okay. I feel stressed now, and that's okay. And in a sense, we can say that we're sort of ignoring it because we're letting it happen. We're just letting it be. This happens, I'm letting it be. I'm letting it be. I'm quote unquote ignoring it. And why does this lead us to where we want to be? Because we have kind of the reverse pink elephant conundrum, which is that when we allow ourselves to think about whatever we want, then no, we don't have sticky thoughts. If we say so, if it's okay to think about sleep, and we don't resist that, then that thought becomes fleeting. Like all thoughts are fleeting at baseline. It's when we try to stop thoughts that become sticky. But I think more importantly is that when we are no longer attempting to have this type of control, then there's no self-criticism. It's not like, why couldn't I control my thoughts? Why couldn't I manage my thoughts? Why couldn't I? That goes away. There's no such thing. There's no criticism. And then, things just become easier and more pain and more peaceful was the word I was looking for. Now, I want to add one more thing, because I think for some people who, maybe you, when you clicked on this video, you thought of the word ignoring as a little bit more practical, not so much like looking inside and seeing how we meet our own thoughts and feelings, but rather like practical things. How about if I ignore things like Googling? Like, I've been Googling and researching a lot on the internet. I've been on Reddit. I've been on Facebook groups. And what if I just start ignoring that? I start just not seeking that type of attention, or seeking information, problem solving in that way. What if I ignore that? What if I ignore things in that way? Well, that can help a lot. And many people have shared that when they stopped like Googling and researching, that led to more peace. But again, I think it's the intent that matters the most. If someone says, you know what, I'm going to stop researching, I'm going to stop Googling sleep so that I sleep well, with that intent, I am trying to achieve sleep, there will be some struggle for the reasons we mentioned before. But if, again, somebody ignores in the sense that I'll let whatever happen, I see that probably it'll be more helpful to me not to Google things and not to be on Reddit. But if I do end up there, that's okay too. Letting things be in that way, kind of ignoring, ignoring in the sense of letting things be, letting whatever happens. I think that can be really, really helpful. This can be a little tricky. I hope I made sense. I hope I clarified these ideas around the word ignoring. If not, or if I did, whatever you think, please let me know. Leave a comment, and I'll be super glad to hear your thoughts and ideas. So thanks for being here. Look forward to having you here soon again. Until then, take it easy.